Hi everyone, myself Nitin Heraji, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mangaluru. In this video, I am going to discuss about controlled access protocols. In my last video, we have already discussed about random access protocols, where we discussed about Aloha, with that pure Aloha and slotted Aloha. Also, we discussed about CSMA, then CSMA CD and CSMA CA. So that was about random access protocol. So now here I'm going to discuss about controlled access protocols. So under controlled access protocols, we have these three methods, that is reservation, polling and token passing. So these three different methods will be discussed under controlled access protocol. So first of all, let's see what is controlled access. In controlled access, the stations consult one another to find which station has the right to send. A station cannot send unless it has been authorized by other stations. So by looking at this statement, we get confirmed that a station cannot blindly send the frame without having the permission. Okay, wherein in random access, the station used to send the data without having any permission from other station. But in controlled access, that is not the case going to happen. Okay, so we'll see what is reservation access method. I'll just write out the points. In the reservation method, station needs to make a reservation before sending data. So without the reservation, the station is not possible to send the data. The time is divided into intervals. In each interval, a reservation frame precedes the data frames sent in that interval. If there are n stations in the system, there are exactly n reservation mini slots. So you can see in this diagram, if there is there are totally 5 slots over here in the reservation frame, which means that there are 5 stations where this n is 5. Okay, so totally there are 5 stations are there. Each mini slot belongs to a station. So here the numbering is been given. So this is if it is station 1 for station 2, station 3, station 4 and station 5. Okay, and each mini slot belongs to a station. When a station needs to send a data frame, it makes a reservation in its own mini slot. The stations that have made reservation can send their data frames after the reservation frame. Okay, so if you look at this reservation frame, there are 5 slots reserved here, that is for station 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see that something is highlighted with yellow color and the bit is set to 1. Okay, usually the bit will be initialized to 0. That means none of the stations want to send the data. Okay, in case if any station wants to send the data, then that particular slot is made as 1. So the bit from 0 for station 1 is made as 1. The bit in slot number 3 for station 3 is made as 1, and slot number 4 for station 4 as the bit is made as 1, which means that these three stations, that is station 1, 3 and 4, wants to send the data. Okay, so this is the reservation frame. So after that, each time slot is given for the stations to send the data. So this is the time slot given for station 1 to send the data, since it has made the reservation, and this is the time slot given for station 3 to send the data, and this is the time slot given for station 4 to send the data, since it has made reservation. Station 2 and 5 remain 0, since it has no data to send, and hence there is no reservation to send the data. After this, again you can see one more reservation frame, where station 1 the bit is set to 1, because only station 1 wants to send the data. So here you can see that station 1 is going to send the data, after which again you have a reservation frame where all the bits are 0, which means that no station wants to send the data. So this is how reservation access method is going to work. So any station wants to send the data, first it has to reserve in its particular slot in the reservation frame, and then itself it can send the data in its time slot. Okay, so we'll proceed to the next method, that is polling. So you can see two diagrams here. If you look at this, there is a primary and other stations over here. So there is no communication between station to station. So that is A and B. Any communications you want to do, you have to do it through the primary station itself. You don't have any direct station to station communication. Okay, anything that has to be done through primary station itself. Okay, so here there are two things, one is selecting and one is polling. So this diagram is meant for selecting, and this diagram is meant for polling. So first we'll see what is selecting, and then we'll see what is polling. Here if you just look at this, the primary station, if at all it wants to send any data to a particular station, then what it does is it sends a select packet. Okay, so that is this. The select packet is sent to station B, and station B in turn sends back an acknowledgement to the primary station, saying that it is ready to accept the data. Okay, so on receiving the acknowledgement from B, that is stating that it is ready to accept the data, primary station will send the data frames. Okay, so the primary station is going to send the data frames, and once station B receives all the data from primary station, station B will send a acknowledgement back to the primary station, saying that data has been received successfully. Okay, so this is about selecting, and here we have one more diagram which is meant for polling. So in this particular scenario, the primary station is going to ask if any nodes has any data to send. Alright, so for this thing, that is the data transfer from station to primary station, polling is used. So what primary station will do is it will send a poll frame to the station A initially. So the station A sends NAK, which means a negative acknowledgement, which is sent when A is stating that it has no data to send to the primary station. Okay, so that's what the primary station receives a negative acknowledgement from A. So what primary station next it will do is it will send the pole frame to station B if it has any data to send to the primary station. So in this case what pole B will do is it will send the data to primary station, and on receiving the data from B, the primary station will send back an acknowledgement to station B. Okay, so once station B receives the acknowledgement, it makes sure that data has been successfully transmitted to primary station. So this completes one transaction. After this, again, if there are any other stations, the primary station can again send the pole frame. If that station has to send the data, it will send the data. If it does not have any data to send, then it will send NAK back to primary station. So this is how polling is going to work. Okay. So the last method under controlled access is token passing. So just we'll look at it, what token passing is. In the token passing method, the stations in a network are organized in a logical ring. For each station, there is a predecessor and there is a successor. The current station is the one that is accessing the channel at that moment. In this method, a special packet called a token circulates through the ring. The possession of the token gives the station the right to access the channel and send its data. When a station has some data to send, it waits until it receives the token from its predecessor. So in token passing, what happens is all the stations are arranged in a logically ring manner. And if any station wants to send a data or it wants to access the medium, it should wait to receive a token, a packet called token, which will be there in the network. So it receives the token from its predecessor. So it's all the ring wise. Okay. So once it receives the token, if it has to send the data, it can send the data. If it does not have any data to send, then that particular station can just forward the token to its next successor in the network or the link. Okay, so that the next successor, if it has any data to send, it will send the data by holding the token packet, or else it will just forward the token packet. So without having the token packet, a station cannot send any data in the link. Right. So this is that token passing. So you can look at this. There is 4 figures here. This is the physical ring. So it's a very simple one, unidirectional one. So what happens here is any station might have a token packet. So if one has the token packet here, if one has the data to send, then it will send the data to the intended station. If one does not have the data to send, then it just forwards the token to the next station, that is station 2. Same thing happens in 2 and it continues. The token keeps traveling through the link. Okay, so that's how token is working in this. And one drawback here is that if at all any node fails or the link fails, what happens is none of the other stations can work, because the whole link will be failed. Right. So this is one of the drawback. If you look at this diagram, the same A diagram, along with you would have a link with the opposite direction. So the concept is same over here. But the thing is that um, if at all link fails in this direction, forward direction, then all the stations on identifying the failure of link or a node, what it can do is it can have a reverse direction link. It can activate reverse direction link until the forward direction is up. Okay, so that is one advantage over here. Next, coming to the bus ring topology here. In this topology, or the data is transferred through this bus, and all the stations are connected through this bus. And there is one logically link here. You can see a ring kind of thing. So this ring is nothing but it is giving the sequence, so that is from station 1 let us go to station 2, then to 3, and then 4. But the data or token will pass through this bus itself. Say for example 1 has the token and it has nothing to send, I mean no data to send from station 1 to other stations. Then what this will do is that it will send the token towards the next successor. That is, next successor is station 2. So the token passes this way and reaches station 2. In case station 2 wants to send any data, then it holds the token packet and sends the data wherever intended. For example, it wants to send it to 4, so the data will be sent to station 4 and the acknowledgement is received from station 4 back. So on retrieving the acknowledgement, what station 2 will do is again it will forward the token packet. So from 2 the packet will go to 3, from 3 the packet will go to 4, from 4 the packet will come back to 1. Okay, so this is how it works in bus ring topology. And the last topology here is that star ring topology. So in the star ring topology we use a hub, okay, which will have a direct route to other stations. So in this, the advantage is you can add any number of stations without any conflict over here. And if any link fails, it will not affect the other stations. Okay, only the major problem is that if the hub fails, then the whole network will go down. Okay, that is the only one drawback over here. So again here you can see there is a cyclic thing happening. So even here the token will be, if one does not want to send any data, it sends the token to station 2, and if station 2 wants to send the data, it will send the data to the intended station, that is for example 4, and 4 will send back the acknowledgement to station 2. On retrieving the acknowledgement from station 4, station 2 will forward the token packet to 3, and from 3 the token packet will move towards 4, and from 4 the token packet will move towards 1, and this keeps happening in a circular manner or in a ring manner. Okay, so this is how the token passing method is going to work for controlled access method. Alright, I hope you understood this, right? Thanks for watching this video. If you like, please click on the like button. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.